Hey everybody, it's Rachel from Burn That Butter. And today I actually went and had my second DEXA scan. I'll go ahead and put links to the two videos that I did, part 1 and part 2, about the first time that I had a DEXA scan done. And that will really go into more, what is a DEXA scan, how does it work, and things like that, and my initial results. So, as you know, I've been working on diet and exercise. It is an ongoing thing. Maintenance is forever. I am down about 105 pounds from my highest weight. I have completed 3 full marathons, 26.2 in the last 12 months. And I have been working really hard with hitting the gym and, all the things that you need to do. Right? It doesn't come easy. You got to put the work in. So I had my DEXA scan and I have my results, and I'm going to go ahead and talk about them. I'm going to put my glasses on just so I can see my reports a little bit better. Now, one of the things that perhaps you'll notice, that there may be some like blotches on the reports if I kind of turn it around to show you. And what I have done is I've just blocked out with like a Sharpie pen any personal identifying information like my full name, my birthday, things along those lines. But these are definitely my reports. Okay, so I went to a company called Composition ID, and they keep your reports. So if you go for any follow-up reports, they can do comparisons from one to the other, and that's really quite nice. They give you this little folder. They give you what I call a little cheat sheet so that you can see what all the various definitions are. And I am female. I am rapidly approaching my 54th birthday. And here is the little statistics for if you are in that age range. So if you are over 38% body fat, you are over fat, or they call it above average. That is over fat, obese. A healthy range is 28 to 37% body fat. Fit/athletic is 19 to 27%. And essential fat is somewhere between 15 and 18%. So it is not healthy if you are a woman between ages 41 and 60 to basically go below 15 to 18% body weight in your fat. You will never get to zero. Half of your brain is made of fat, so we'll just put it right there. But you need some fat to help cushion joints. You need fat in order for hormones to work, things along those lines. So I will say that I was incredibly disappointed to hear that my body fat percentage had actually gone up from the last time. So the last time I did my body scan, I was 31.2% body fat, basically right at that lower end of being healthy, not quite too fit athletic. And this time I was 32.6, so I went up 1.4% in body fat, and I was really disappointed with that. But one of the things that the person who helped me interpret my scans told me was that, so there's 2 different phases. One is what is called bulking, and that is when you are putting on muscle mass. And when you are bulking, you need to be in a calorie surplus, and you need to be in a protein surplus. That helps you to be able to synthesize new protein, new muscle within your body. And so when you are putting on muscle, you're gonna also put on a little bit of fat. So logically, I know this. I have been working very, very hard at the gym with the emphasis on trying to build more muscle, in part because of some of the things from the previous scan. And so I did put on a little bit of fat, but I've also put on some muscle, so that's good. And there were some suggestions for me, namely to increase my walking, which I'm already doing instinctively because it is summer. And after dinner each night, I am going for about an hour walk, in addition to all the other stuff that I do all day long. So officially, I was 4.3 pounds heavier today, according to, you know, their scan, versus when I did it last time in December. But let's take some things into consideration. Yes, I have, you know, gained some muscle, and I've also gained a little bit of fat, but it was also a different time of day that I did this scan. So the last time I did it first thing in the morning, and I was fasting. This time I had the scan at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I ate breakfast and lunch and didn't go poop for the day. So according to my scale, basically I was within a half of a pound of where I was for my last scan. So fluid, you know, drinking water, eating food, not pooping, whatever, still, you know, basically the same weight, but just more muscle and a little bit heavier, a little more muscle, a little more fat. So I have gained some lean mass. Now this is from my first scan, and this is from the second scan. And so you can see bone versus muscle versus fat and other connective tissues. And I have other like pictures and graphs, but that's me from like number 1 to number 2. And officially I was 0.5 pounds more in overall lean mass. So that would be muscles, tendon, ligaments, organs, blood, and water. But actually muscle does also retain more fluid. So yeah, there we have it. So when we look at the actual muscle in a few pages, I've actually gained quite a bit of muscle. My bone mineral density, my bone mineral content was the same, but officially, according to this, I was basically 3.5 pounds higher in fat and 0.5 pound higher in overall lean mass. Okay, so let's go to the next page. So this next page is all about lean mass and your lean mass balance. Now, one of the things that was really surprising to me last time was they told me that I actually had some imbalances in my body, and that the left side of my body, particularly my shoulder and my arms and my trunk, for the left side of my body was much less in muscle mass than on the right. And so some of the suggestions that they gave to me was like, when I'm doing weights, to try to minimize like the machines, like where you're doing it like sort of, you know, this kind of motion sort of thing, where you're doing both arms, because if one side of your body is stronger, that side of the body may do the majority of the work. So they were suggesting either doing more like hand weights, free weights kinds of things, so that you don't have that dominant side of the body taking over. And then they also suggested doing some reps just with like the one arm with the one side of my body. And so yes, I have been doing that, and now the difference, like in my arms, before I had a 0.6% difference between left arm and right arm, and now I'm down to 0.1. So I gained 0.5 pounds in muscle mass on the one side, and I'm almost completely symmetrical between the two sides. Same thing with the trunk of my body. I have been working on things like that I suck at, things like planks and things where you're really utilizing your core work. So the last time that I did it, the difference between left to right was 2.2, and now I only have a 1.5% difference from left to right. So I still suck at planks and burpees and all of the dead bugs and all of the things that, you know, require core strength, but I have made a huge difference there. And that's fantastic. Actually, yeah, I mean, that's wonderful. So, I'm really happy about that, and I'm going to continue to do that, and it is working. And so, one of the things that they were saying is when your body is asymmetrical, you are more prone to actually getting an injury on either side. You could get an injury on the one side that is actually stronger because you're overcompensating and you may overstrain it. Or you could get a injury on the weaker side just because it is weaker, and you could strain, pull muscles, pull ligaments, etc. So my overall body is fairly symmetrical at this point. Still, you know, a little bit of work from left to right, but major improvements there. Okay, so I talked a little bit about how they said, you know, the person who was interpreting my scan was basically like, you have gained a lot of muscle in various parts of your body, and that is why you have gained a little bit of fat as well. But part of the good news with that is, so they do arms, legs, trunk, so that's, you know, from here to just below where your butt would be. Then there is the android portion of your trunk, and that would be basically from about underneath your arms to about the belly button. And then the gynoid portion, which would be from your belly button to just below your buttocks. And the ratio basically there has also improved. So I am still in apple shape, but I'm less of an apple than I was before. So that is quite good. And I'm really quite happy with that. So I have gained some muscle in my gluteal area. I've been working on all the butt stuff. Make all the jokes you want about that one. I've been working on the butt stuff, and that is working. So then I am less round and I'm kind of more curvy, and this is great. Okay, so coming to the next picture. So this is a much bigger, I'm gonna bring this in. This is a much bigger picture of, you know, my overall bone versus muscle versus fat. And you can see like my lower part of my body, my legs, my thighs, my calves, like I'm jacked in that area. I have some really good bone density going on there, and weaker up top. That's pretty common for being female, but the thing that I don't like, and bring this in, you can see where I have some bone loss in my jaws from having had some teeth pulled, and I'm going to be seeing my dentist soon. I'm hoping that the bone grafts that they did have made an improvement so that I can get dental implants. If I can't get dental implants, I'm going to have to explore some other options, like a mini denture or some, I don't know, something along those lines. But yeah, you can see on both sides where that's happened in my face. And what are you gonna do? Like, it's a thing. So okay, so that is that. And basically right now, if you just do the lean mass in my body, so not the fat, but any fluid, muscle, everything except for the fat, I am 121.9 pounds of just muscle. So I'm 5'6", which is 66 inches. I'm not sure what that is in metrics for any of my metrics friends, but I'm solid, right? I'm a solid girl. You know, there's that thing that's going on, like on some Facebook and the Instagram, that is like that little sound clip where it's like, I like them sturdy. I like a woman who can help me move a couch. Well, yeah, that's me. I'm very solid. I can help you move a couch. I'm really strong. I've got a lot of mass, and yeah, I'm not a wafy little thing, and I never will be. So there you have it. Science says that. Okay. So let's go ahead and go to my next thing. So, and then here we have just like looking at the physical bone compared to the bone and everything else. So that's kind of interesting to see. And then we have, I'm just going to sort of do this like this. Then we have this little chart here about my bone density, and the last time I was up in the green, and I have dropped into the top blue, which is still good, but my overall bone density has actually dropped. And so the person who is doing my scan was asking me a bunch of questions, you know, like how many calories a day do I eat? Do I consume dairy products? Do I take calcium supplements? Do I take vitamin D supplements? How much do I go outside? How much weight-bearing exercise do I do? And, you know, I will exercise anywhere from like 1 to 3 hours a day on an average day, weight-bearing exercise, walking, running, lifting weights, things along those lines. So, and I do keep a good diet, and I do take the supplements and stuff. So the thing that is really going on is things that like we just can't control. So she asked very sweetly if I was in menopause, and I said, I don't know, because I had a hysterectomy like 8-10 years ago, something along those lines. And I don't know. But basically what she said is when you go into menopause, you have a change in your hormones, and your hormones are related to your bone health, and you start producing less estradiol. And so basically she's like, well, my educated guess is that you officially have hit that point in your life. And so some of the suggestions that and then she also said, well, the last time you did this scan was in December. So you had in early December. So you had December, January, February, March, winter months. And even if I'm going outside and exercising and things along those lines, so less vitamin D, less direct sunlight. So it could be a little bit from just having come out of winter and coming into late spring, early summer. or menopause. So some of the suggestions that she had for me was to definitely continue with the supplements, and to try to get out, outdoor exercise. Maybe when I have lunch at work, to try to go outside and eat my lunch, so they get a little bit of sun. And she actually had another really interesting suggestion, and I need to do more research on this, but she asked if I wore sunglasses when I was outdoors. And I said, yes, I do. As you can see, I'm like holding my eyeballs open here. I have very, very light eyes, and my eyes are very sensitive to the sun. So I'm like squinting when I'm in the natural light. And I have the early signs of, someone who will eventually go into full-blown cataracts. That's genetics / living life. But just based on my coloring and all of that, I have been told several times by different eye doctors that I will have cataracts in my lifetime. And then one of the things that I could do to help avoid that was wearing sunglasses when I was outside. So, and you can kind of see where, as I drop my papers, you can see where, I wore sunglasses. So when she asked me that, I thought that was kind of a strange thing to ask. And she said that, she also has very light eyes as well. So she said, I understand and respect that. She said, but try to not always wear the sunglasses, because when you wear the sunglasses with that UV protection, that it actually makes it harder for your brain to realize that you're in the sun. And so then your brain is not kind of, all of the interactions with the body, that your brain is not necessarily realizing that you're in the sun. And so you may not synthesize your natural vitamin D in the same way that I would if my eyeballs and my brain recognized that I was in the sun. So I thought that was an interesting thing. As I said, I personally need to do a little more research on that. But sure, if I'm going to go outside like at work and sit outside on a bench and eat my lunch, I'll just do that without sunglasses. So that would be, like 10, 15 minutes of sun exposure in the afternoon. And if this helps with my bone health, then sure. But that all being said, my bone health is still really excellent, but there was a definite drop in the bone density overall. And so, we're gonna keep an eye on that. And if it, drops considerably more, then I will talk with my doctors about such things. So that's that page. Okay. So we talked a little bit more about this is the breakdowns of the different portions of my body, comparing what is going on left to right and all the numbers, and I can like totally geek out on such things. And yeah, that is great. But the one thing that also I really did not like about this scan today is that the last time I did the scan, my visceral adipose tissue, translation, the fat that is not the subcutaneous fat, it's not the fat where you can like pinch an inch sort of thing. the fat that is underneath the abdominal wall that surrounds your internal organs. The last time I was 2.67 pounds of visceral fat, and the goal is to be between 0 and 1 pound. And this time I was 3.03. So I basically gained not quite a half of a pound of some visceral fat. It could be way worse for sure, but that just goes with the overall, I have put on muscle. I have been really working on getting in my food, and apparently I've been in a little bit too much of a calorie surplus, and that is my own fault. I was getting a little too cocky, being a little too generous perhaps with, sometimes I wouldn't measure my food. Apparently I need to measure my food with a food scale no matter what I do. And then I'm just going to add a little heaping extra of some of the goodies like cheese or oil or nuts, nut butter, the things that are all so yummy and make your food so delicious, right? So maybe I was measuring out a certain amount of cheese for a recipe and then adding a little bit extra for giggles and grins. So those little bits add up, especially for things that are calorie dense. So apparently I was in a little bit of a calorie surplus, and so I need to nail that down, and I just need to get it right, get it tight, keep it very controlled, and I can't trust my eyeballs. I have to measure my food. Got to measure my food. Okay. But the other thing that she was saying is she was asking me if I have had changes in my stress levels in the last few months, and or changes in my sleep patterns. And the answer is yes. So I have changed my work schedule. That is not my choice. I was informed by my employer that that's what I needed to do. And if I wanted to keep my job, that I needed to change my work hours. And that has been a great stress on me, for sure. But my husband has also changed his work schedule. And so now he is working evenings, and there's some of the sort of ships passing in the night between the two of us, and we are not having quite as much time together as historically we have. Schedules are changing, routines are changing, specifically in like the last month, 6 weeks. And yes, this has been stressful. And I will also be honest in saying that once I completed my last marathon, and I'm not marathon training, my overall number of miles that I'm running has dropped, and my exercise, like everything has sort of changed. And you know what? Right back on it. I'm definitely making sure I get my runs in. I'm getting those miles in. And one of the things that she suggested to me was really just trying to be as consistent as I can with my sleep schedule. And if I feel myself becoming stressed, to maybe just take a few minutes, close my eyes, do some relaxation exercises, some deep breathing, tell myself I'm going to be okay, because the brain does not know the difference between little stress and big stress. Your brain is designed to, when you have a stress or you have changes, your brain goes into fight or flight, and that adrenaline contributes towards also cortisol, which is another stress hormone, and that is directly linked to belly fat. So it's basically a half a pound. It's not the end of the world, but I have a little bit more than I ideally would like to have. And it's part of an overall picture, and I need to focus a little bit more on self-care and de-stressing and de-escalating when I feel myself getting wound up. And it is easier said than done, for sure. And we all need that advice sometimes. But yeah, I have had more stress, particularly in the last 6 to 8 weeks, and it shows. It shows with science on the scan. So knowing this is helpful. Okay, so this is all stuff that we talked about. Here's another little picture, delightfully so, of where my fat is, particularly on my midsection. And yeah, there's that. So that is my scan from today. So I make no commission from saying this. The company is called Composition ID. They have a office in College Park. It's either College Park or Greenbelt. I went to the one that was in downtown DC, kind of Logan Circle area. But there are some other ones as well, and they're a national company. They're around, so you can go to compositionid.com. I found them originally because I had, when I was looking to find a place, when I learned about what a DEXA scan was, I thought that this would be very helpful for me to see what's happening with my body and have a more realistic picture of what's truly happening in my body, what's working, what isn't, and to get advice to continue with my goals. And it has been very helpful. So armed with this knowledge, I know what to do, I know what to keep doing, and I know what to change in order to continue to meet my goals. Meanwhile, you can see like my shoulders and my chest. I'm not going to turn around and show you my rear end, but gaining muscle in the places where I have been focusing on gaining muscle, much more symmetrical, and working towards overall health and wellness. So I had typed in DEXA scan near me. So it's DEXA. And that stands for like dense electronic, blah, blah, blah. It stands for something, okay? It is a form of radiation. They do not recommend that you do a DEXA scan any more than once per month, but it is not the same as like an X-ray, but it is a form of radiation. So, take that for what it is. We are exposed to radiation on the daily just from that big yellow ball in the sky called the sun, as well as other radium and uranium and little microscopic bits of radioactivity. They're just naturally in our environment. So but knowing that that's what it is, and if you have problems with that, then don't do it. But I have found this process to be incredibly helpful. And they asked if I wanted to schedule another session, and my immediate response was no, in part because I don't know exactly when to do the next scan. They suggested not any more than 3 months at the earliest, because otherwise it's just, the changes would just be so minute that it wouldn't be a good value for my money per se. But somewhere between 3 and 6 months. And I'm going to use this information for when I go to visit with a plastic surgeon. I'm pretty sure that I have shared that in the next 2 weeks, I will be seeing a plastic surgeon to talk about removing some of this loose skin / weirdo tissue that I have around my midsection, which is part of what is showing up in the scans. I have 2 hernias. I have what's called diastasis recti as well. That's where the muscles have separated. So I have a lot of stretched skin and just weirdo tissue that is just not going to go away with diet and exercise. It just physically needs to be removed. And yes, of course, I am mindful that, you know, aesthetics are certainly part of why I'm considering having plastic surgery. But it is really more for health reasons, to get rid of that tissue, which does contain some fat, which is has just not even budged since I have lost all of this weight. It is this stubborn area of fat, but to repair the muscle and to be able to do hinging motions, you know, like bending forward, things like touching your toes, doing like forward stretch type things. That area is getting in the way, or being able to do like lateral movements, things along the lines of jumping jacks, burpees, things along those lines. So that tissue is kind of, no way to say it other than that tissue is like flapping around and moving, and it makes it very challenging to do certain types of exercises. I do them the best that I can, but I am really hindered in that and not able to kind of like go as hard as I want to. And so I think that I will be better with my athletic performance and be able to do better stretching and things like that, which will contribute towards my overall health and well-being, as well as not having that fat that is putting out metabolic signals within my body, making it harder for me to lose the last of the weight, you know, etc. Possibly influencing my diabetes and inability to get just rid of, you know, I've come down off of so many medications, but I'm still on one medication, that sort of thing. And just being able to control blood sugar, control hormones, etc. better. And then yes, also for aesthetics, because I've been working very hard and I'm tired of being a big old apple, and I want my midsection to match the rest of me. So I'm armed with this information, which I will bring to the plastic surgeon, and that will also help make a decision whether such a thing is appropriate for me. Whether it would help me, yes or no. And because in the end, it, you know, aesthetics be damned, right? That is absolutely the last of the reasons, more so for continued health and wellness. So as always, I wish you health and wellness. If you've watched this whole thing, thank you so much. Hey, hit the thumbs up, subscribe if you're not already subscribed to my meager little channel here. Give me a comment. Have you done a DEXA scan before? Have you found it to be helpful? Do you have any questions about, you know, what I've done and what my thought processes are? Because I welcome constructive feedback and positive feedback. If someone is rude, I'll just delete it or ignore it, because that's what grown-ups do. Anyhow, enjoy your day, be well, and thank you so much again. I love you all.